Hello everybody and welcome back to Out of Body. My name is Sabrina and this is Collette, my haunted doll. And in today's video we're going to be doing an updated video on what's been going on since I've had my haunted doll. She has been here a little over a month now. Since I've had her, there have been some things that have happened. I know in my last video I mostly talked about things that happened before she got here. And so I didn't really have much to say as far as after she got there because I filmed that like 2 days after she arrived. So this video we're going into several things that have happened since she's been here. It seemed like for about the first week things were pretty quiet, you know, and things are fairly quiet. It's not like stuff's moving around all the time. As I can tell, she's gotten comfortable here. There have been, you know, some more things going on. So one of the first things that happened is one night when my fiance was here, and I don't even know if I told him this because he was asleep at the time. I woke up, and before I say what happened, well, basically what happened is I heard the wind-up. There's a wind-up key on the back of the doll because it's also a music box, so you wind it up. If you wind it in the right direction to actually wind it up, it's kind of more of a quiet sound. But if you wind it in the opposite direction, it's real loud. It makes a real loud, like just a loud sound. In the middle of the night, around midnight, I wake up to the sound of that sound, and I'm at least 99% sure that's what it was. I mean, who knows, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard because it woke me up because it is loud. And I remember the seller actually told me that, you know, that happens and that it is loud when it happens. You know, sometimes that winder, she will twist it. And what's interesting about this is that it was on a Sunday night and my fiance needed to go back home that night. And we had fallen asleep watching something on TV. He tried to leave like around, you know, 11 or something like that. Well, it was 12:30 and I was like, oh man, you know, we need him to go ahead and get going, you know, so he's not leaving so late. What was interesting about it is that throughout that evening, I kept trying to wake up. I have sleep apnea, so it's really hard for me to actually like wake up sometimes. I fall asleep really easily and all of that. I've actually got that kind of resolved now, but that's a story for another day. I kept waking up and thinking, oh, I need to wake him up. I need to, you know, get him out the door or whatever. Like, we need to get him up and ready to go. But I was so tired, I kept falling back asleep. And then I didn't wake up fully alert until I heard that sound. So I almost felt like maybe she knew that, you know, we needed to get up, you know, that we were trying to wake up. Okay, so that same night, after he leaves and I'm going into the bathroom getting ready for bed, I feel an interesting sensation. It actually feels like somebody is like walking circles around me, because I felt like when I can feel a spirit present, I feel like this kind of tingly sensation. Usually it's like on my arm or my leg or something. I just feel like the static energy. It's like a tingling. But this time I felt it like around my hips, which was weird. It was just like kind of going around and around. It felt as if like maybe there was a child walking around me, you know? And I kind of looked thinking it was my son. And then I was like, wait, no, I already put him to bed. At this point, he'd been in bed for hours. And it also was probably around like 1 a.m. at that point. I'm feeling this sensation, like a tingling or like almost like a vibrating kind of thing around my hips, like just kind of going in a circle. And I'm like, what? And I thought, well, maybe that's Collette. Maybe that's the little girl, because she allegedly passed away when she was 5 years old, you know, so she would be around that height, like around my hips. And, you know, it was like I could feel her just kind of playing around me or whatever. So I thought that was interesting. And that was that same night. And that was after he left. This next thing is smell. Now, a lot of times when a spirit is around you or visiting you, you might smell an odor. You might smell smoke if they smoked. You might smell perfume if they wore a particular perfume a lot. So the doll, the Collette, the doll that I have, actually smells like cinnamon, kind of. I remember when I opened it up, I was like, oh, she smells so good. Sometimes when I'm walking about my apartment and the doll is like in its place, you know, where I keep it, and across the room or in the other room, I will all of a sudden get a whiff of that cinnamon smell, which I don't have any air fresheners or perfumes or anything that smell like that. So every once in a while I'll start to smell that, which I think is interesting. So the next thing that happened is maybe a dream, maybe not. I'm thinking I could have been awake, but it also could have been a dream. But even though it's a dream, doesn't mean it wasn't like real. If that makes sense. Anyway, you'll get it when I start talking about it. So basically I dreamed that I was, lying in bed sleeping, and I, had woken up, and I looked over and I saw this little girl, the same little girl, mind you, that I've seen in my other dreams that I talked about in the first video. I saw this little girl just kind of running around my apartment and just playing. It was dark in the room, so it was nighttime. It was like the middle of the night, but I dreamed that I had woken up and just saw her just running around playing. And what's interesting is that as she was running, there was like this streak of light behind her. So it was like I was seeing her aura as she was running around. And the light was kind of pink and blue, which is also interesting because the doll is purple and blue. And I think it's got some pink on it too, actually. But yeah, it was almost like I was seeing her aura or something. It was kind of this pink and blue streaks of light that were, just kind of flying behind her as she was running. I recall that in the information that the seller gave me about the doll, she said that sometimes the spirit of the little girl will manifest as an orb, and that she's actually seen this kind of pinkish orb around the doll at times. And so I remembered that when I had this, after I woke up from this dream, I was like, oh, that makes sense, like that her aura would have some pink in it, because, the seller even said that her orb was kind of pinkish. Could have been real-ish, I guess. I could have been asleep and kind of dreaming it, but I could have been also just like seeing what was actually happening in my apartment at the time. That's personally what I believe. Now this next thing is another dream that I'd had about a week or two later. In this dream, I actually, again, I talk about my sleep apnea. A lot of times I would be sitting watching TV or sitting like trying to do something on my phone. I would literally not just fall asleep, but I would fall asleep for the night. That's how tired I am. Like I wouldn't just fall asleep for maybe an hour or 10 minutes. Like I'd doze off and I wouldn't wake up till morning kind of thing. Well, that's what happened this particular night. I fell asleep the entire night in my living room, which my bed is actually in my living room. I actually had the doll in bed with me. I know it sounds weird, but I was just sitting there watching TV and I just wanted to take the doll and just kind of just lay it, cuddle with it or whatever, because the seller did say, that at times, the spirit that's attached to the doll feels overwhelmed and actually needs that kind of comfort. So I just felt kind of moved to do that night. So I just kind of felt drawn to the doll and I was like, okay, maybe she needs to be held. So, I just laid on my bed, turned the TV on, had the doll, fell asleep. I didn't intend on falling asleep with the doll in my bed, but I didn't change positions the entire night. I slept on my back, propped up as I usually do, and the doll was just like right here. And I woke up and we were both in the same position. But before I woke up, I had this kind of intense dream that there was some guy that was like obsessed with me, and he was like spying on me and all this stuff, and that was random. I don't know what that dream was about, but what was significant is that in this, I'm not so sure if I was still dreaming or if I was awake, but I'll just say that I had that dream about the guy, and then I dreamed that I had woken up in my bed and the room is dark and everything. And I look at the foot of my bed and I see that same girl, the little girl, standing not right at the foot of my bed, but like a few feet back, like probably standing right where I'm sitting. And she was looking really intently, like at me. Almost like, in my mind, almost like she was trying to wake me up. Like she was just energetically just like focused on me, like trying to, like ESP or something, like trying to like tell me to wake up, summon me to wake up or something. Because that dream I was having was not real great, It wasn't like a nightmare, but I don't know if I was like saying something in my sleep or what. Again, I could have dreamed that she was standing there, but I personally intuitively feel and believe that I actually woke up and she was standing there. I may have been still kind of halfway asleep, but she was standing there. Anyway, so what happens next, I see her standing there and she's intently looking at me, like really intense energy. And then I just look at her for a second and then I wake up. And within a minute after I wake up, my alarm goes off. I have like 5 alarms that go off, but my first one goes off. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So like, I don't know if she was again trying to wake me up because she knew it was time for me to get up. Or if she was trying to wake me up from that dream I was having or what. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting because in every dream that I've had about this, little girl, she looks the same. So that's what makes me think that it's not just in my head, kind of conjuring up like, oh, well, I have this supposedly haunted doll, so my mind's making up things about it. If that were the case, I feel like she would look different in each dream, but she looks exactly the same in every dream. Exactly. Which to me is very telling because an earthbound spirit is not going to change the way they look. Really, they look the same all the time if you're actually seeing their spirit. So the next thing that happens is I kind of take a while to finally edit the first video where I introduce her and upload it. Part of the reason is because of the sleep apnea. I've just been tired all the time. Luckily, I finally have a hold on that because I got CPAP, so going forward I will be fine and have more energy. But I started to feel as if she was getting, not necessarily impatient, but she was just trying to be like, okay, get this done. Like she wants her story told. I really feel that. And this is interesting, what happened, and it's just kind of many things that happened. But I would start to hear, like the week that I was supposed to upload it, or actually a couple weeks after I had originally planned to upload it and I still hadn't done it. So basically what happened is I was kind of procrastinating with it, and then I knew I needed to do it and I kept thinking, I need to do that, I need to do that. And then I started to kind of experience little things. And I felt like, I wonder if she's kind of letting me know, like, hey, I want you to do this, like, just in a gentle way, but still, I started to kind of see things happen. So it was little things, like something, like I would hear little knocks. I would like hear something move. I would see something in the corner of my eye. Little things like that, little noises and things. Again, nothing like really freaky, because I don't think she's trying to scare me. I know she's not trying to scare me, but it would just be little things, that would just kind of let me know, like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still waiting on you to do this. One night in particular, I remember, and this is what made me think, okay, alright, I'll edit the video. I know I heard this. I heard a knock at my door, and it wasn't like a, like that. It was like a one time, but it was loud enough to where it sounded like somebody's hand. It did not sound like a bug, because I say that because I actually have a light outside my door. A lot of times I'll hear like a little bug like hit the door or something, like moths or whatever, they're flying around. Well, it's not the time of year for that because it's still springtime and there's not a lot of bugs out right now in my area, or at least at my apartment. There's not like big flying nasty bugs. So like usually during the heat of the summer, like at night, I will hear like a lot of bugs around that light, and I might hear a slight knock like on the door, like just something like really light, and I really can only hear it if I'm like right by the door. Well, this knock I heard, I think I was in the kitchen or I might have been in the living room, but I heard a distinct like somebody's hand just knock with their knuckles, just one time knock on the door. And I know the seller said that she does that sometimes. She'll play a game like knock once for yes, knock twice for no, or something like that. I haven't done that with her yet, but I heard that knock, and I don't hear things like that in this apartment. I never have. Like I said, I've never heard things like that. And I heard that, and I was convinced that somebody was at the door. I really was. I was like, is somebody at my door? And I walk over to it, I look in the peephole, I don't see anybody. I open the door, nobody's there, and I'm like, okay. And you know, it was in combination with other sounds I was hearing. I would hear something in the kitchen, or I would hear something rustle. I would hear, you know, a knock somewhere else, or, you know, just different things I was hearing and kind of seeing. I was like, okay, I wonder if she's kind of trying to tell me something, trying to get my attention. So needless to say, that week I ended up editing the video and then I uploaded it. So yeah, that I thought was interesting. So I was like, okay, even leading up to uploading the video, there was, you know, a little bit of activity. So the last thing that I wanted to mention that my fiance Justin actually said, you know, you can mention this in your video, so I'm gonna do it. I don't know that it's related to her, but the more I think about it, the more I think that it is, especially because of the fact that I have in the past kind of proclaimed myself as a medium of sorts, you know, because I do have psychic abilities. I am very sensitive, I would say, to spirits and paranormal things. So what happened this particular night, my fiance was asleep. He has a dream that I think he said he was walking through Walmart, but basically in the dream there's this little girl that's following him around, and he's just walking through the store or whatever. This little girl just keeps trailing him and following him around, and not just that, she keeps saying hi, hi, hi over and over again, like she's trying to get him to say hi back. And it just kind of makes me laugh, because that's just like a little kid, you know, that wants to get your attention and just like, hi, hi, hi. So he dreams that this little girl keeps saying that and she won't stop. And then he wakes up and he's still hearing it. Now, before you get like, whoa, he's hearing it from me. So I'm asleep and I'm the one that's saying hi, hi, hi over and over again. Which, at first when he told me that, I was like, oh, okay, well that wasn't paranormal. That was just me saying it in my sleep. Well, the more I think about it, and especially when I think about the fact that I'm, you know, a medium, if you go with the more traditional definition of a medium at a seance actually opens themselves up, which I would not intentionally do this, but they can actually open themselves up and allow a spirit to sort of possess them or enter their vessel temporarily, mind you, so that they can speak through them. When I'm asleep, it's not that I can, you know, become possessed or whatever, but I could see how she could. Now, this is a possibility, because I do believe that when we sleep, that our souls leave our bodies, whether they float above or travel the astral realms or whatever. You know, my body at that point is an open vessel. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I could be possessed and all that, but I think the only reason why this is possible with me in particular is because I am a medium. So I think what's possible is that she maybe wanted to get my fiance's attention, and maybe she just wants him to know that she's real, that she's here. Maybe she just wanted to talk to him or whatever. Just, you know, just kind of like a child, you know, they see a new person, they want to say hi, you know, like it could be as simple as that. And she may have been saying it through me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, she may have said it through me so that he would hear her. That's a possibility. That's something, the more I think about it, the more I find that that could really be it. You know, especially because I have opened up myself, my home to her. So in a sense, I've kind of opened up myself as well, as far as just, you know, allowing her to communicate. So yeah, that's a possibility. I don't know if that's what happened. It could just be that, it could also be that maybe I was having a dream about her or something, and so I was just saying what she was saying in the dream. But I don't know, you guys, what do you think about that one? I'd be interested to see what you guys think. And that's all that happened in that one. Now, he did tell me that the girl in his dream looked different than the one I described, but that could be a lot of reasons why that's the case. You know, again, like I said, I've kind of opened up, you know, my home to her, and I'm very, very sensitive to spirit, so it makes sense that I would be able to see more accurately what she looks like. It could be that that's why I see her as she is, and maybe he saw her a little different. Or it could be that his consciousness, his mind kind of just created a different image, because in the dream and in his mind, he didn't really know who the girl was. He didn't know who she was. Maybe if he had known or thought that it was her, that he maybe would have seen a different look to her. But anyway, I just felt like that was significant to mention on this channel. But that is it at this point in time anyway. Obviously I will try to do an update every once in a while as things happen. But yeah, what do you guys think about all of that? I would love to hear you guys' feedback on everything I talked about. At some point I will for sure do a spirit box session with her. At some point I will do that, and I will film it, obviously, because I do have some questions I want to ask her. I wanted to say in this video, if you have any questions that you want to ask Collette, definitely comment them down below, and I will be reading through those and jot them down on my phone so that when I do the video, so that when I do the spirit box session, I can ask them the questions. So if you have any questions you want me to ask her, definitely don't be shy. Comment down below, give me some ideas. Obviously I'll ask, you know, some general questions and everything about what happened to her, but yeah, anything you guys want to know, just ask. That is it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.